Hi, welcome to the Indie Wine Podcast. My name is Matt Wood, and this is episode 102. I recently sat down with Amanda McKenna of Yarrow Wine Co. and Matt Crutchfield of Matt Crutchfield Wines. They're both making incredibly well-regarded wines for these newer projects. A week or so after we talked, Amanda made the VinePair Winemakers to Watch list, and Matt has been part of New York Times write-ups by Eric Asimov. We discuss a lot of the nuances and challenges faced by self-funded winemakers who are starting their own projects. Like many of the folks I talk with, both have a day job on top of their own project work, and in this case, both work at the wonderful Rhyme Cellars. A reminder that I have a Patreon at patreon.com/IndieWinePodcast. Link is in the show notes also. If you're enjoying the podcast, any amount to help me keep telling wine stories ad-free and available for everyone is appreciated. It's all run independently, much like the producers I talk with. Telling a friend or sharing on social media are great ways to help out too. Here we go.
Great. I love Oakland.
Yeah, me too.
Oakland reminds me of the East Coast. It feels like I'm back in like Philadelphia or Baltimore or DC. Like it has an East Coast energy to it. I don't know how to explain it other than it feels like home.
Well,
It's flat. You can see everything.
Yeah.
it's had some Baltimore things happen with it over the years. Like
Definitely had some
there's a lot
reputation.
of things you could kind of compare, like Baltimore and Oakland over the years.
There's some nostalgia to that. There's a level of grit that I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you make your way out here?
I had been working in restaurants. So I moved to Charleston, South Carolina for college and just kind of stayed and was in the restaurant world for a while and ended up going back to Philly for a brief moment, but got a job in LA. So I kind of bounced a bit.
Yeah.
LA was challenging for me. It was very overwhelming, spent a lot of time in traffic. It was a great place to land in California, but I think I just really wanted slower pace of life and connection to nature. And since I was on the wine side of restaurants, I knew I wanted to stay in wine and just kind of work with one producer that I felt aligned with. So I reached out to a whole bunch of people, sent a lot of desperate emails, and Megan Glab of Rhyme got back to me, and I moved and started working at Rhyme a month later. So.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was almost 5 years ago now that I've been up here.
You had to stop in Charleston also, right, Matt?
Yeah, I was in Charleston for 2 years. Somm side, pretty much learning the basics of wine for a couple years. Took the Somm 1 CMS exam. And before I signed up, or while I was studying for that, I had been reaching out to wineries out here to do harvest and, see that side of the industry. And when I walked out of my Somm test, thankfully I passed, I got an email from Mary Edwards 5 minutes later. And they said, we're happy to have you, come work harvest with us. And so I sent my boss an email. He was out of town for 2 weeks, or for 3 weeks rather, so I didn't even see him between when I got that email and when he came back. And I had moved to California.
Okay. That's just email him out.
Yeah. Had to go. That was a great experience, though, in Charleston. I was at Stems and Skins for 9 months, which really was like, I got there and you had to hit the ground running. They were busy and serious in a good way, and probably should have hired someone more qualified than myself, but that allowed me, or kind of forced me, to study more, find that passion for wine, and then really delve deep into what I like about wine and what's exciting.
Amanda, did you have a certain part of you wanted to kind of land on the hospitality side or production side, or did you have any goal when you?
It started all hospitality, but there was kind of just this pull towards wine over the years. I was working in a lot of restaurants that were really wine focused. So it was a lot of wine education in the restaurants with the staff, and a lot of places that were willing to kind of fund your SOM education if you wanted to go down that road. So similar to Matt, I went through that, got through level 2, just kind of kept going because it was what I was doing at the time, and it felt like I was continuing to use my brain and learning something, and it was something I loved. And it wasn't really until 2018 when I worked my first harvest. I was so incredibly lucky to go to Burgundy, which I wouldn't recommend going somewhere that you don't speak the language, but I still did learn a lot. Just a lot of it was inferred through pointing.
Yeah. Some grunts.
But you can't understand the cuss words.
No. They did call me the giggly American, which I think fits. But up until that point, I think I was just so education and hospitality focused, and there was a shift in that harvest that I really wanted to dive more into production. So I kind of continued on that path while still doing the hospitality work. But I think that was where the big turning point was, to be able to do a little bit of the winemaking or vineyard stuff. And I would love to have more access to that. But with Rhyme, we're able to do a little bit of everything. So kind of hitting all points for me.
Yeah, it's awesome. You guys are both able to kind of have your other projects, personal projects going while working at Rhyme.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it helps them out. Like, everybody gets more opportunities and everything. But yeah, it's awesome that you guys have been able to do that. They have fairly like open door policy kind of with that, or like encourage.
Yeah, they've been very encouraging. When Ryan Glab started working for PAX, he essentially got offered the same thing. So PAX could only pay him so much at the time, and as a way to kind of make it up to him, he offered him some winemaking space, ability to make up to X amount of tonnage, and that's kind of how Rhyme started. And they want their people to be very excited about wine and excited and want to stay and grow and kind of give other people that benefit that they were given when they were young in the industry. So, definitely benefiting from that.
Yeah, I think it's also a benefit to all of us that we've now worked together for 5 harvests. And so we all know the flow of the space. We know how we all work together. We know what needs to happen, and we don't really need to bring on any extra hands to do that. And I think there's a lot of benefits to just having that cohesive team in the cellar, and knowing that when you have 40 tons of Vermentino coming in a day, but then you also have 30 people coming into the tasting room, you're going to just bounce back and forth between both sides, and it all gets done.
Yeah. Just hire good people, I guess.
Easier said than done. Yeah, they definitely have a knack for hiring people who work well in the space, are passionate, hardworking, and then are just fun to be around. So we spend a lot of time with each other inside of work and outside, of course.
But what are some of the wines that we have here?
I cracked open the first wine I ever made. So this is 2021 skin fermented Chenin Blanc from Herringer Vineyard out in Clarksburg. See if I can even remember how this was made.
What led you out to Clarksburg?
So when I first started in wine, I was drinking Malbec from the grocery store, very cheap Malbec, and mostly was just drinking red wine in general. When I started at Stems and Skins, I feel like my boss Matt wasn't really having that. He's like, you got to drink everything, and kept pouring things for me. And I found a white wine, a Chenin Blanc from Cedric Yarrow in Loire Valley, and it just clicked suddenly. Like, I understood white wine, and then from then on, I've probably drank 80% white wine. I am, very passionate about white wine. Still love red. And then now I'm making a little bit of red as well. But Chenin was definitely my first white wine I loved. And as far as like domestic producers, when I was still in Charleston, I was really excited about Sandland's Chenin. and Megan Bell makes some Chenin Blanc from Clarksburg as well.
Yeah.
And so, to my surprise, like in Loire, it feels like a cold area. At least that's what you're told. And one of the hotter places in California to grow grapes, Chenin is growing beautifully, and people are making some really elegant expressions of it. And kind of the inverse, there's some cold places where there's Chenin Blanc that can be a little bit boring. And I find that if you're picking well, if you're working with a farmer who's growing well, and if you aren't hoping to pick in September, if you're ready to pick August 18th, then you can make Chenin from Clarksburg.
This first year, did you make the direct press version also?
Yeah.
Okay.
This first year I got 1 ton, so 2 half-ton bins. I pressed it up at our old facility in Geyserville in a little half-ton press that had arrived like weeks earlier, I think. Not ours, a friend of ours, but very convenient for me. And then the other half-ton fermented in a puncheon for about 2 weeks. This was all machine harvested, so it came in a little soupy, not fully destemmed though. So there's like, I always eyeball it at like 20% whole cluster. And then pressed to a small little 70-gallon flex tank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which has only been used the one time. It has since retired, but I made 70 cases this first year. It's like pretty much 50-50.
Were you influenced by like the his and hers Vermentino that rhyme is known for? With
I'm sure there's
or?
some like subconscious influence there. I was familiar with the 2 wines from my Charleston days, and I think the goal initially was just to make 2 wines that were picked at the same time, same site, vineyard, etc., and just made 2 ways. That way people could buy both, kind of study them if they were good enough examples to be studied, and then kind of use those as a baseline for Clarksburg Chenin as white and orange wines. But yeah, I'm sure there's some subconscious influence from them.
Yeah, I always thought that was so cool, and it's like one of the first Vermentinos I kind of remember being in California. Also, there wasn't much of it when they started making it. So.
Yeah, I think that was my first Vermentino as well. Probably I'm sure I had the his before the hers even, way back.
This is drinking really well, though. Love it, kind of like tea, black tea. Kind of
Totally. Yeah,
really
it's holding up really well for a first try. Plenty of acidity still and nice and salty. I feel like it's really refreshing. Not super tannic as it was the whenever I bottled it.
So you said you try to go for about 20% whole cluster on the skin contact one also, like to get a little kind of like carbonic sort of thing going with it.
When the vineyard picks this, for the first 3 years it was all machine harvested, and so it wasn't really up to me. Last year it came whole cluster, and so I decided to destem 2/3 of it. So I had 4 bins, destemmed 3 of them, and then do a little bit of carbonic kind of whole cluster on the bottom, and then all the destemmed fruit on top. I feel like it's somewhat similar. It feels a little harsher, but it is also still just fresher and younger. In time, it'll probably calm down like this has a lot.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the Chenin, I feel like it happens every year. I make the skin contact Chenin. I kind of not freak out, but I'm a little disappointed because there's no color. And then by the time it's summer bottling, it's typical kind of orange color. So
Really?
It takes a little while to come out.
Okay. Yeah, and you're all in barrels for the aging of it?
All barrels for everything aging. The whites, for the most part, are barrel fermented. It kind of depends if there's like a little bit of stainless steel open, but just for the sake of space, everything's barrel fermented. And also, like, I kind of pick on the lean side anyway, and so having them ferment in barrel gives them a little more breadth, a little more width to them, and texture, leaving them on lees for a long time. Sometimes they get a little reductive, but you just pump them out, take them off lees, and put them back. all the wines stay in barrel until the summer, so they have plenty of time to kind of gain that, kind of like chest to them. And yeah, I like that about the white wines, having plenty of acidity and leanness, but also like not just being acid water.
Yeah, sure. And I think that can kind of happen with the Shannon, just in general. Sometimes in California, like there are some that get to be that a little more, like acid water. Kinda.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's really hard because you want to pick early enough to still have acidity, and there's like a short window when you're at like once you're like 3 pH, you have like days until you're 3.5 pH, and it's you gotta be on top of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think because of that, some people pick a little early and it comes in maybe under 3 or at 3, and then it's like lean and kind of grassy. I've been pretty lucky to work with growers who are really on top of things.
So I feel like the direct press one I've had from you also, it's the texture is still there.
Yeah, I've got some compliments on the direct press Shannon over the the last few years of like being bright and acid driven. And one of those is 3.5 pH and like 5 TA. There's like no acid there, and it still just like carries like there's acid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something nice about something about Clarksburg Shannon. It makes a really beautiful white wine.
Yeah.
Wow, that could have been an ad.
Yeah, does Clarksburg want to hire me to sell?
Call the Clarksburg CVB.
Yeah.
Boy, do I have an idea for you.
I mean, I could talk about the bridges all day. I love Clarksburg.
Oh,
Whenever Amanda and I go out to look at the vineyards and maybe stop in Clarksburg on the way out to see Shake Ridge, I always get so excited because you have to go across so many unique bridges, and you're just going back and forth across the Sacramento River, going up the highway. I love it. I love it out there.
Yeah, you get to guess like what type of drawbridge you're about to hit. Like, is it the swivel kind?
Yeah.
Or
The counterweight?
tilt?
Yeah.
Like,
I believe there was a moment in time when we discussed your branding and you wanted to put different bridges of
I did think
Clarksburg
about that.
on your labels.
It's in the
Could make good
it's
merch.
in the works.
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those like real interesting wine growing spot. I mean, there's so many like vineyards out there that would almost be underwater also without the
Totally
levees. Like,
Yeah.
somebody I was talking to, they were like, I was going to put, who was that? They wanted to put elevations of the, like where the grapes were grown, and it was going to be like one for Clarksburg or something,
I mean, there's plenty of parts that are under sea level, I think.
Yeah.
It's such a funny area, all the pears and just all the stuff they're growing out there. It's really a patchwork of agriculture out there.
Yeah, it's unique place. Just the Delta, as you kind of drive through it, like some parts kind of are pretty bayou-ish.
Totally.
You're like, I feel like I could be in like Louisiana or
Yeah.
something, and
Yeah.
then some parts kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean-ish, or like, I don't know.
Totally. Last time we were out there, Amanda and I were going to visit Herringer, and maybe we were dropping bins. We saw some guy get on a jet ski on the dock. We're like, oh, that's awesome. I would love to go like just jet ski down the river. Like, it's a weekday. And it's like 11 a.m. or 10
I
a.m.
felt like we were racing him.
Yeah, he followed us for like 20
Miles.
minutes. He rode next to us. I was like, this guy's going 50 miles an hour on a jet ski. This is awesome.
Clarksburg Pirates.
Yeah, he's just going down to see his buddy at another dock. That's so cool.
Yeah, good living out there, I think.
Yeah. And it's nice like slow pace out there. Like people come up to Sonoma from the city or East Bay and they're like, you guys are in the country? And I'm like, we're like in the mountains and like the coast. And then you go to Clarksburg, you're like, that's at least compared to Sonoma, that's like country.
I know people used to like recently, not like 100 years ago, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people would build like their own houses and stuff out there in some of the areas, just like no permits or anything, just like put up a house, or maybe so you could go like water skiing and like stay there the weekend or something like that, but no septic tank, no like electricity, like just
sorry about that.
like just, you know,
Like
throwing up a house.
Yeah,
Amazing. Just like a shack.
Yeah.
What was that? The good old
Like,
days.
at some point, you get kind of like, you know, somebody like drives by and is like, how am I supposed to be a house over there? And then like get taken down or whatever. But like, I think there was like an entire neighborhood at one point on like one of those islands that was
Really?
not legit.
Yeah. Yeah, pirate life.
That sounds like people I want to hang out with.
Yeah, well, spend some more time in Clarksburg and you can get there.
Should we try some Yarrow?
Yeah.
Sure.
What was your goal when starting Yarrow, Amanda?
You know, pardon me.
Sorry, we got all these microphones in the
Oh, no, you're
way.
fine.
Yeah, we should just do this without the microphone.
I think for me, the goal was to just create something that I enjoyed that was both intentional and something I would like drinking and wanted to share. So the focus is definitely vibrant, more aromatic white wines for now. I do have some red wine in barrel. We'll see how she goes. But for now, I've been working with Albarino, Sauvignon Blanc, and Riesling. Just kind of trying to remain as minimalist as possible, similar to Matt and to Rhyme and a lot of our peers. And creating just something that is something I can build for myself. So more vibrant and fresh and just drinkable everyday wines. This is Sauvignon Blanc. It's from Tolmasov Vineyard in Russian River. It's kind of tucked away behind Yarrow off of West Side Road. Pretty far back, like down on the edge of the river. It's a really cool property. It's Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, and then a rose farm that has 600 different varieties of roses planted, which is pretty wild.
It's very beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
This was interesting. I really wanted to work with Sauvignon Blanc. I love Sauvignon Blanc. I have a lot of inspiration points from California winemakers that I love. Arno Roberts, Isa wines, and Lady of the Sunshine are three that I like really adore. And I just love what Sauvignon Blanc can do in California. I had a hard time getting started with reaching out to vineyards and kind of starting these conversations with, I want to make this wine, I want 1 to 2 tons. And then the moment I said I want 1 to 2 tons, I would not hear from these vineyards ever again. So I was getting ghosted left and right. So it took me a while to find this property, and it was actually thanks to Scott of Jolie Lade. He connected me to the grower here, and they were the best. And they're like, sure, we'll just throw a couple extra bins on for you. So it was a journey to get to this point and have Sauvignon Blanc, but I'm thrilled about it. All fermented in stainless steel. And it was a pretty long and slow ferment. It took just over 40 days to go dry, which was incredibly stressful and terrifying for me. It was also the first fruit in that year, which for Matt and I both is often the case.
Every year,
which is both great and challenging. It's great because we don't have to worry about the waterfall of rime grapes coming in, but
we can be out of the way.
Yeah, and the goal is, great, our wines will be done, dry, and tucked away in the barrel room before all of the rime wines come in.
Yeah.
That did not happen with this Sauvignon Blanc. That 40-day ferment really threw me through a loop. It's also great because we have kind of pick of what fermentation vessel we want to use. So there was this tiny stainless steel tank that I was able to borrow for what I was told was 2 weeks, but I did end up using it for over a month. So it was a journey. But after that, it went into barrel for just under a year. And now she's here.
It's really nice wine.
very like lemongrassy and key lime and tart and juicy.
Yeah. I love Sauvignon Blanc.
I do too.
It's great.
I think it's underrated.
Yeah, when Amanda was reaching out to the vineyards who were ghosting,
Yeah.
she kept lamenting to me. They won't reply to me. What do I say? I'm like, there's not much else you can say.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me. It's okay. You just got to move on.
Hey, just following up about that one time.
Yeah,
Right.
it's tough. You would think,
Crickets.
given the grape market being down, you would think, yeah, sure, we'll sell whatever we can, but that simply has not been the case. It's really been whatever I can get connected to through friends,
Okay.
or if I can just tack on to someone else's pick. And so it's challenging when you want small amounts of things. It's not easy to find growers that are ready to jump on 1 to 2 tons.
Was this year any easier, like that you made the wines before, like have anything to show for it, or was it any easier to get fruit for you?
A little
this
bit.
year?
Yeah, I did. I got some Albarino also from Clarksburg this year. That one was easier. And then the red wine I made was Nero d'Avola from out in the foothills. And that was one of those, we got a text message in a group chat that was, hey, here's this vineyard. These are all the varieties they have. They're picking tonight. If anyone wants any fruit, it's yours. And so, you know, there's a lot of that with, it's just kind of being ready last minute. If you're a small producer and you have to be ready to just jump at the opportunity that comes your way. And so I think I got a little lucky this year, which was nice.
Yeah. Sometimes we all need luck.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, this year was definitely like a test in self-control with how much fruit, I guess the last 2 years, how much fruit is out there and is more affordable than ever. And you also like see some vineyards that you know, growers that you admire, and you're like, I would love to help you out, but I have stock that I need to sell through. And so, yeah, sometimes I think both of us came across that this year. I found some Mourvèdre on Mount Veeder. I wasn't really looking for Mourvèdre this year, but it would be far and away the closest fruit that I get.
Yeah.
Compared to Clarksburg and Amador City. It's 10 miles from my house, like in a straight line, but it takes almost an hour to get there. Just like switchbacks up Moon Mountain and then switchbacks halfway down Mount Veeder. Wow. And then once you get to the road, it's another like 15 minutes. But like some of these vineyards you go to, like at Shake Ridge and this vineyard, it's so beautiful and like breathtaking. And you're like, this just has to make good fruit. Like, I just don't believe this isn't going to make good wine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I jumped at that chance this year. Had to hand pick it, which was a first for me. Luckily, my partner works at Bedrock where they do get interns. And so
they were your interns for the day.
They were my interns for the morning. They each got a couple bottles of wine and some donuts. It was only, it was just under a ton, so it didn't take the 5 of us that long to pick.
Yeah.
The main issue was they didn't take off the large bird nets that kind of went over everything, and so you had to pick crouched down and carrying your picking bins crouched. But it was a good time. It was really nice.
Yeah, so that one you weren't able to resist the temptation of the...
I'm trying to get a little closer to home instead of having to go out so far all the time. I want to be able to drop bins comfortably. I've luckily the past couple of years been able to drop bins with somebody else who's picking at Shake Ridge. So last year, Rosalind Reynolds from Emmy was picking, and so she's super close by. I just dropped some bins with her. And the year before, Hardy Wallace was picking and dropped bins at Sugarloaf Custom Crush for him to load up on a truck.
Okay.
So
nice.
It's a great community of people who are like, you know, just not a lot of skin off their back to do that, but they also have no obligation to. So it's very kind and very helpful for someone as small as us.
Yeah, because Shake Ridge is no joke to get out there. It's pretty far.
Yeah, especially when you have a day job that requires you to be there 6 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. 6 days a week. It's hard to get the energy to load up the truck and drive 3 hours out, potentially 3 hours back, or stay the night.
drive through all those like different traffic zones. Also, was maybe the worst part of it, I think. But
yeah, it's
there's so many
brutal.
places you can hit bad traffic on the drive. Sauvignon Blanc's really good, even if you did have to steal the tank.
Stole that tank for most of harvest that year. I don't think we used it outside of that, and it was probably intended for another ferment, but Sauvignon Blanc stayed in there.
We had a bunch of tanks. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Matt, you started the first couple of years with all whites, and was that kind of a quicker to get started and quicker to sell wine sort of situation, or was it I guess, were you just liking white wines
Yeah.
sort of that much more at the time, or able to find the fruit? Or?
You're giving me a lot of credit, assuming that I thought it out.
Okay.
I just wanted to make some Chenin Blanc.
Okay.
And, every vintage I bottle in the summer, so it doesn't save me like that. It's not like as quick to like get them out.
Yeah.
My first vintage, I didn't finish the whites, the direct press Chenin Blanc, didn't finish fermentation or sugar dry until a month before summer bottling. So
Okay.
there was just like slow ticking for 8 months. So that was pretty stressful, as we're all aware.
Yeah.
And so that kind of set the bottling timing for me going forward. So yeah, I always do a summer bottling.
Okay.
And I think that the Chenins go to bottle super reductive anyway. And I don't know, I think they do fine in bottle for, or in barrel for 10 months. I feel like if I were to bottle the Chenins that I make in January or February, they'd be a little too tight, a little too wound up. You're gonna find after bottling, they really open up after like 4 or 5 months. So built to age a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Made to age.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of skin contact wines, I feel like they really round out after a little bit of time and bottled too. Like,
Totally.
right,
Well,
post bottling.
the funny thing is the orange wines that I make are more ready to drink after bottling than
Are they?
the white
Okay.
wines. So I bottle usually in July, and then I do an event, like a release event in August, and pouring all the new wines. And the white wines, I'm like considering decanting so they can kind of open up and breathe a little bit, and the orange wines taste great. Taste like they just came out of barrel.
Okay.
And so yeah, they don't need that much time. The whites need to open up a little bit typically. Yeah, the intention wasn't necessarily just to make white wines. Chenin definitely stood out to me. I'd always loved Chenin Blanc. And then I was on a website called Every Vine where you can kind of, I don't know if it exists anymore, but you can kind of scan over a Google Maps overlay and see like what grapes are planted at what vineyards and kind of seek out specific varieties. And I saw that there was Cortese and Falangina also in Clarksburg, not too far from Herringer, and reached out, got in touch with the grower, went to, chat and see the grapes and see the vineyard. And the grower had mentioned that they were certified organic. They had been converting to organic for a while, working with Steve Mathiasen. And I feel like if it's good enough for Steve Mathiasen, it's probably good enough for me, I guess. And made some Cortese and Falangina in 2022.
Nice. Is that Lost Slough?
Lost Slough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had some good wines from there. Great, great
Yeah.
vineyard.
Jack Sporer makes a little bit.
Yeah.
He did a little blend of the white varieties on the organic side. So the Cortese, the Falangina, and Yarrow, I think. And Lioco makes great Cortese from there.
Yeah. Had some Verdello from there also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Steve Mathiasen was involved in that transition to organic and kind of working with them. But
He had I think he still has a label called Tendu. They're like
oh yeah, okay,
small kind of stout bottles. And there's a Cortese SKU, and that's Lost Slough.
yeah, Scholium Project. That's another one that used to make some wines from there, Verdello and some others, I think. But yeah, really cool varieties that you don't really see very often.
Yeah.
I mean, really rare in California.
Yeah. Those guys are farmers through and through. It's like vineyard, the section of land is half vineyard, half pear farm.
Okay.
pear orchard.
Yeah. Okay.
And all the grape varieties are white grape varieties that ripen kind of on the early side. They all have giant clusters, big berries, and the yield on the vines is insane. So I think they're like 8 tons an acre, 9 tons an acre certain years. It's a lot of fruit out there.
Heavy.
Yeah. Real heavy.
Yeah. And so, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's kind of a lot. And then I started working with the fruit, and I was like, oh, it still tastes really good. It's really concentrated fruit.
Yeah. The wines never feel watery or dilute from there or anything. They're like flabby or anything.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's the beauty of Clarksburg. I mean, I guess you've got the water table is
totally
nearly above the vineyard. So
yeah. It's funny.
Don't have to go like too deep.
The little slough, the Lost Slough, right behind the vineyard is like, it has to be a few feet above the vineyard. When you go we went and looked at it one day, and it was like you drive up the levee from the vineyard and then kind of down a little bit to the water, and you're like, I think this is 5-6 feet above the vineyard.
It's a little disorienting.
Yeah. It feels odd.
It's like a MC Escher kind of like
Exactly.
situation going on. Have you gotten fruit out there?
So my first vintage was 2023. I got some Albarino from a little further south in the Alta Mesa AVA of Lodi. That was from Silva Spoon's vineyard. And that was my first run at winemaking. And then just this past year in 25, I went over to Herringer for Albarino. So, yeah.
Well, that's a very good, like, bootstraps community pick story.
The Albarino was a journey.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Love to hear the juicy details.
It's hard to rent a flatbed pickup truck during harvest in Sonoma County. So none of those were available. And I had to rent a 16-foot box truck to fit 4 bins in. Turns out 4 bins, 2 tons, a little bit over the payload of that truck.
Okay.
I went out there with our very good friend Jill, who also makes wine. She has a label called Heaps Keen, and she's the sweetest, and she really helped me out in this situation. We picked up the bins. They were loading the bins into the box truck, and I had said, can we stagger them? Because I don't feel good about the weight bearing on this truck. And they said, nope, we do this all the time. We're just going to load them right down the middle. It's going to be fine. And I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't push back. I said, okay, I trust you guys. You do this all the time. Doesn't seem like a good idea, but we'll go for it. We get 90 seconds down the road, and I make my first turn going a whopping 8 miles an hour, and I feel everything in the truck shift. And then I look at Jill next to me, and she is significantly lower because I think we were close to being on 2 wheels. So I almost killed Jill. We almost flipped the box truck. We just pull off to the side of the road, and I realize I didn't bring a pallet jack in the truck. We have to just go back and have them unload and reload it the right way. And thankfully, we got back safely, and we were able to haul all the fruit back. But that was... I'm surprised I'm still making wine.
Got back safely.
Got back safely.
All 120 yards.
Yeah, it was... I wouldn't recommend using a box truck, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Early days.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're not really a small winemaker if you don't have a U-Haul truck story.
No, I sent Matt and Ryan Glab a photo of the truck, and I said, this is a level photo, but the truck was completely askew. And I didn't realize at the time, but you guys were actually genuinely concerned and scared for my safety.
Yeah, I showed Ryan, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And Ryan Glab, who is the person who always knows what to do, said, I don't know either.
Well, you guys calmed me down, and I was like, they seem fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I think Ryan said they need to drive their forklift down the road to come get you.
It was a stressful 8 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
But we got through it, and we ended up making wine out of that Albarino.
So Jill is no longer your harvest buddy.
I'm sure she's scared for her life if she ever has to get in a box truck with me again.
I think Jill, she's making wine now at Bedrock.
Yeah.
For her day
Oh, is
job.
she?
Yeah,
Okay.
she works for them now.
Cool. Well, that's a good. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad you didn't tip over into the Delta.
Me too. Yeah. Would have been nice if the slough was right next to me. It would have just caught us.
Yeah, and then you just float down the river.
Float back to the vineyard.
Do the jet ski to give you a tow, maybe.
Right?
Find 'em.
Yeah. Turns out you really got to push back when they say, we've done this a million times. It's going to be fine. I'm like, I don't think so.
Not always.
Not always.
Yeah. Well, glad you got back safe and
Me
we're able
too.
to make some good Albarino.
Do a little of
let's do
this
some Riesling.
before we jump into your red. A little skin fermented Riesling from Cole Ranch up in Mendocino.
Oh, nice.
This was a really lovely addition that I didn't expect in 2024. It was really the tail end of harvest. I think it came in mid-October. It was kind of the last pick off of the vineyard, and there was just a little bit left. And I think I picked with Evan of Ruth Lewandowski, and perhaps Cody got some of this as well.
Yeah. And Mike.
Yeah, and Mike Lucia, who has Cole Ranch. But I feel really lucky to have gotten my hands on this fruit, and I destemmed it, fermented it on skins for 10 days, and then put it in barrel for just around a year. And I've been really loving it. Riesling is not something that I've seen fermented on skins very often. I didn't really have much of a point of reference for making an orange wine from this grape. I think there's a handful in California and maybe a few in Austria that I've had, but it was one of those moments where I thought, you don't see this often. Maybe there's a reason for it. Like perhaps this shouldn't be done. But there's kind of always this left side, right side of my brain that also challenges that with maybe you should find out for yourself. So I went with that voice, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. It's like pretty pithy and kind of has this like orange marmalade kind of bitterness, but still has a lot of fresh acidity. So it was a fun one. It was one I didn't expect to turn out as good as it did. I thought, really, maybe there's a reason people don't ferment Riesling on skins, and now I'm not sure why more people aren't.
What made you want to ferment it on skins?
It was because it was so late in the year, and I hadn't been to Cole Ranch at all that season. I just wasn't sure what it would come in looking like. I wasn't sure if there was going to be some botrytis. I didn't even know what the bricks were coming in. It was really just, do you want it or do you not? And I was like, absolutely, I want it, and I'll figure it out. And there was a little bit of botrytis, nothing crazy, but I just thought better to be a little bit safer on this, and let's destem all of it. And I think I would do that again. Yeah, this vineyard is obviously so special and really nice to be a part of. And I feel incredibly lucky that Mike had just kind of sent out a text to tons of people being like, if anyone wants any of this fruit, like, let me know, I'm picking it today. And so again, similar to how that Nero d'Avola fell into my lap this year, it's just like the community of people that we have that is so willing to not only help, but like reach out with, hey, I heard about this, if you want it. It's really remarkable. I'm like, I don't think that Yarrow would exist without the help of all of these people. It's just incredible.
Well, I guess like Bedrock says, it takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first few years of making my wines, Mike Lucia was picking fruit, and I would just purchase a couple tons off of him from Herringer. And then we started working with Lost Slough together. He had a little bit of overstock and decided to stop working with them. And I was like, all right, now I gotta just pushing the baby out of the nest. I gotta learn to do it on my own. And I mean, it's a great way to get started, and all those guys have been there in one way or another. They know how, may have worked at a place that is well financed, but when you start your own brand, you're not necessarily well financed, and sometimes you don't want to be. And they know that you have to do it all yourself. Rent a U-Haul, sleep in it,
Yeah.
wait for the pick, and then drive it home, hopefully safely.
Hopefully you don't flip it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that that orange orange peel.
Yeah, it's picked up this like nice fruit core where like before it was like had a little bit less fruit, and so there's tons of tannin and phenolics, and now with age it's like really rounding out in
Yeah.
a flavor profile way, not necessarily like a mouthfeel way.
It's really good. It reminds me of these like at Christmas time we make these like oranges that are just like sliced and then kind of marinated in like liqueur and sugar and stuff, and I kind of get that same like vibe a little bit, like of biting into one.
Love that.
Love it. Yeah, it's really nice.
I think Chenin too is something that people don't ferment on the skins very often.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had that same kind of like itch. Like I knew of Macon Bell's, and I think the only other one in the world that I knew of was Olivier Lemasson. I think he does some skin fermented Chenin. And the first time I did it, I was really unsure. You're your own worst like critic.
Yeah.
So the first time I was making wine, I was unsure about whether I even liked the wine. Coming up on 2 months till like the bottling was coming, and I had bought Le Masson Chenin and tasted it, and I was like, "Oh, that tastes exactly like what mine tastes like. Great, it's supposed to taste like this." And that was a little bit of a relief. I was like, it tastes like kind of I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I was like, I don't really know what I was expecting from fermenting Chenin on the skins.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, Chenin can be phenolic. It's not as tannic as one would expect. But yeah, his tasted almost exactly like mine. And I was like, okay, great. I can bottle this and be happy with this.
Yeah, I just have to get like a little bit of that confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, I have lots of friends who have like reached out and asked like, how to start your LLC or your business and like what steps did you take? And I've sent like all of the information I have. And I'm like, it's kind of up to you to find the confidence in yourself, but I try to be as supportive as possible.
Totally.
Like, obviously with Amanda too.
Yeah.
I'm like, this wine is good.
Yeah, I think self-doubt can be the most challenging part of all of this. And like really getting over the hump of I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the first time you start selling your wine, you like, at least with both of us, we pretty much were selling to friends or people we knew at first. And so you're like, oh, you're just being nice to me because
Right.
You're just my friend.
And then you start selling to other people or people start reaching out to you, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you start to build a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you've had some pretty good write-ups and some big newspapers and things like that too. That, I mean, that's pretty good like cosign.
Totally. Absolutely.
Like Eric Asimov and
Yeah. So the first place that I sold my wine to wholesale was the Redwood in Sebastopol. The first people to taste my wine outside of my Rhyme family. And I think it must have been the following fall. Eric Asimov was in the area, and Ryan from the Redwood texted me. He said, "You won't believe who's drinking your Chenin right now." And I was like, I don't know. I could guess a million people.
Yeah,
who's drinking it. Like, are you joking? Like, is this a joke or is it serious? And he said, Eric Asimov just ordered a glass of your Chenin. And I was like, and he was like, you got a pretty good. So I was like, I'll take that.
That's a big vote of confidence.
Yeah, I will take
Yeah.
that. I will take that. The press has been really good, and a lot of people have reached out. A winery in Virginia that my mom introduced me to called Arterra. He makes natural wine in Delaplane, somewhere in like northern Virginia.
okay.
He reached out and ordered a bunch of wine after the New York Times article came out. sent me a very nice email, and then followed up recently and ordered 4 bottles of the skin fermented Shannon. And he's like, I'm thinking of fermenting my Shannon on skins. Like, I want to taste yours and share them. And that just like really felt super full circle, because that was like, my mom would take me there before I was even into wine, and I was trying those wines. And for him to want to look at my wine and have some kind of, I don't know, guidance or get some kind of an idea off of my wine felt very fulfilling.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, all of a sudden you have like, people asking you for advice.
Yeah, like, who am I?
Get that guy out to Clarksburg.
Yeah. I barely did anything to these wines.
That's the goal.
I need to get out to Virginia and try some more of the wines. It's been a couple years at least since I've been out there, but
yeah, there's people doing really nice stuff out there.
Yeah, it seems like it's a good scene.
Yeah,
out there.
There's the Vine Pair just released their top 50 or top 100 wines or something, and I want to say like 10 of them were from Virginia and Maryland and New York maybe, which was surprising, very surprising, but really cool to see that they're taking those wines seriously enough to even rate them and score them, or review them, I guess, and feel like, yeah, Virginia's growing some cool stuff. The majority of it's bad, but there's 10 or so really good wineries in Virginia.
Yeah, I feel like I've had some just random bottles from there that it's pretty good. Like, I've enjoyed, so I'd like to do a little tour there sometime.
I do feel like there's a lot of really interesting projects on the East Coast that are just like in these more underrepresented wine regions that generally have a reputation of making bad wine. And then you have these people that are doing really cool things like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, Virginia. Like, there's really interesting things happening in those regions. I think the people that are growing varieties that make sense where they are doing great. Like, my sister lives in New Jersey, and there's a couple wineries that are growing Gruner, and it's pretty incredible. I'm like, this is really good, but it makes sense there. It's like it just grows really well. So I think if they can lean on what makes sense in those regions, there's some interesting things happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Petit Manseng is like a big one in Virginia.
Yeah.
At the moment for white wines, and I haven't really had many of them. There's a little bit in California, but I don't have too much to compare them to.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I know Pax made one a few years ago when I was first out here.
Okay.
Maybe in like 2019, maybe. And I was so excited because I'd never seen Petit Manseng anywhere outside of Virginia.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, Pax, when I knew him later on, I was like, oh man, do you still make Petit Manseng? Like, I really like that wine you made. And he was like, that wine fucking sucks.
That's incredible.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I guess compared to everything else you make, it's probably low on the totem pole.
Sure.
It holds its acid.
Yeah, it had one fan out there.
Yeah, I'm the only fan of that Pax Petit Manseng. I think he did say he had a case if I wanted.
You should grab that.
Yeah, some library Petit Manseng.
If you want some, you know where you can find it.
Got your name on it.
We did we used to have a tasting group with some winemaker friends in the area, and we did a North America, but anywhere but West Coast tasting, like theme. And so there was some Mexican wine, mostly East Coast wine, a little bit of Canadian wine. And the far and away winners were these 2 wines from Plebe Winery in Asheville.
Oh.
And they were incredible.
Yeah.
Some like Vidal Blanc, Saval Blanc, great acidity, amazing flavor. It was like kind of Chenin-y and Sauvignon Blanc-y.
Kind of tasted like Jura.
Yeah, it was. They were really beautiful wines. They recently, because of the hurricane out there, their wine got washed out.
Yeah, I remember.
But it's kind of the same thing. Like people who are growing what should be grown in that area, making phenomenal wine, and not just like kind of phoning it in or doing it by what the book says.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes for California, even, also the right grape in the right place can make
Totally.
magical wines. I mean, I guess you kind of see that with the Clarksburg Chenin Blanc. I mean, there's a lot of Chenin Blanc in Clarksburg. Like kind of found like a home there.
Totally.
a bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. There's always that thing where you're like, this is grown in an area that typically the climate is like this and the soil is like this. So we have to find that exact spot in California and grow that there. And then we can mimic exactly what's happening in Europe. And it's not always the case. In some places it does work, but not with everything. Clearly with Chenin, I mean, there's there's a little bit of Santa Cruz Chenin Blanc that's like good. There's a little bit of Mendocino, kind of cooler area Chenin Blanc that's like good, but I feel really compelled by like specifically Tegan and Megan Bell's Chenin Blancs from Lodi and Amador and Clarksburg.
yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are making Wilson Chenin. It's a really great site. David Ogilvy's really great to work with, and so many people get fruit from him. And it's a lot of. I go and drop bins, and I see 30 different bins with different labels of different wineries, and everyone's getting like a couple tons.
Yeah.
Or like some people are getting that's their entire Chenin or their entire white wine portfolio was that vineyard. So, yeah, there's. I think that breaking tradition can be cool and exciting. It's hard financially here to do that. I understand why people don't. But like at this point in time, we're kind of being forced to. Like some growers are pulling out Cabernet and Napa to plant Chardonnay because they just can't sell Cab. It seems crazy, but that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 10 years ago, who would have seen that?
This is Grenache from Shake Ridge out in Amador in Sutter Creek. All whole cluster fermented. It's on skins for 6 days total. It's fermenting for 3 days. I picked this and Mourvedre from Chenin in 24. All came in the same day, around between the two, like 21 to 23 bricks. I wanted the Grenache to have some structure and a little bit of like backbone. It got picked at 21 just because the pHs like really shoot up there. And so I was trying to prevent that from coming in at 3.8 pH and then fermenting on skins and then ending up above 4.
Yeah.
So sugar level is pretty low. Only fermented for a couple days just to keep it a little bit lighter, a little more playful. And then barrel aged for 11 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah. And this too, like Amanda's Sauvignon Blanc, Scotty from Jolie Lade, reached out to him to see if there was any interesting red fruit out there. He was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, anything. I want to see what's out there. And I'm not looking for anything too specific. And he told me that there is some room up at Shake Ridge with Grenache and Mourvedre. I reached out to Anne and went and visited. And you go to Shake Ridge and you meet Anne and you're like, how do I not buy fruit from this woman? She's the greatest grower I've ever met.
It's a heck of a vineyard too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like so many different sort of expositions and
Totally.
like so rolling and so many little blocks and just like it seems so well laid out and
They can't.
it's like a real fun vineyard to walk.
Totally. All the blocks are like labeled by letter because there's not like a north block and a west or east because they're like facing different ways and it's like bunch of rolling hills and combs and stuff. Anne's the greatest. We went and saw her this past summer after visiting Herringer for Amanda's Albarino, and her nephew was helping her out this harvest, and we were riding in the quad bike thing gator situation. And Anne's like called her nephew over to stand up in the back in the kind of bed of the gator with Amanda because she's like, I'm gonna be able to talk to Matt, but the truck is too loud for anyone to hear, for Amanda to hear me. So you're gonna stand on the back and tell Amanda what I'm saying.
She's the best.
But it's a very, it's very sweet. Her nieces and nephews help her out. I mean, who knows if they know who they're learning from.
Yeah.
But
Legend.
yeah, absolute legend.
Really nice wine too. The tannins on it are fun, like kind of chalky, kind of
Yeah.
ganache.
Yeah, that was a little worrisome just in general with where this is grown, with the tannins being too harsh. But they did look pretty like soft. They're definitely present, but
Yeah.
not overwhelming.
No, I tend to like coal cluster wines just in general. There's so much about them that I like what the process brings to them that keeps me kind of just going back to them.
Yeah.
Were you back up there for 2025?
I got Grenache and Mourvedre last year in 24. 25, I just got Grenache.
Okay.
And then the Mourvedre from Mount Beater.
Right. Okay. And you blending those two, or
Who's to
is that-
say?
Okay.
Who's to
okay.
say?
Okay. Good. Game time decision.
With the Grenache. So another thing that is issue problem solving is that our press at Rhyme is very big. The minimum amount of fruit you should put in there is 1.5 tons, and then with like fermented must, it should be a little bit more than that. I usually press things on top of other things.
Okay.
Timing comes in, so sometimes you're like, oh yeah, this fermented for a couple days, but that's because this is the last white fruit of the year, and so I have to press on top of other white fruit. With this Grenache in 25, the timing worked out. It was 1.2 tons, and so it wasn't quite enough to feel super comfortable, and the press was already kind of having issues this year. So when our Rhyme Fiano came in, I pressed on top of a little bit of the Fiano, just to get up to like 1.5 tons.
Yeah.
And so I have 2 barrels that are 100% Grenache free run, and then the rest is Grenache pressed on top of Fiano skins,
Okay.
which should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could lend to some blending, could go as Grenache. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the other kind of thing, is I'm not beholden to specifically making one thing. The only thing I've made every year has been the skin fermented Chenin Blanc, and last year I didn't do it.
Okay.
So now I have made something different every single year.
Keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
And you made some red wine this year also,
I did.
Amanda?
Nero d'Avola. Again, shout out to Scott from Jolie Lade. He was the plug for that too. He's really just been the great connector of getting us connected to growers that are willing to spare a couple tons.
You said that's Foothills?
Foothills,
also?
yes. It's like just north of Placerville.
Okay.
Pretty small little vineyard. I think it was, I can't remember what Scott was pulling from that vineyard, but it was a really, again, game time decision of, we're picking tonight. It's at 23 bricks. Do you want it or do you not?
Yeah.
The answer was yes. I actually didn't even go drop bins. Ryan Glab of Rhyme went and dropped bins because we thought there would have been enough Nero for both Rhyme and me. Turns out there was only 0.9 tons, and they were kind enough to let me have it, since I guess they said I set it up. Really, Scott set it all up. But I destemmed that as well. It ended up not being 23 bricks. It was significantly less than that. Which, that's also the trouble you're getting into when you're doing things last minute. You're stuck in, I'm working 12 hours a day at my full-time day job. I can't get out to this vineyard. I can't sample it. I have to just put trust into this is going to work out just fine. It came in at like 20.9, TA of 9.1.
Great.
We're pretty zippy. We're looking pretty crunchy and bright. But I do think that Nero is a variety that can hold acid, and it tastes good. It does taste pretty tart, but I'm going to leave it in barrel. It's not all the way through secondary, so we're going to let it get through and see if, hopefully the pH comes up a little bit. Hopefully we kind of balance out a little bit, but she's on her own journey right now, and we're going to see what happens come summer. Yeah. Okay. It's clean, and that's my biggest concern going through fermentation is just trying to guide the wines without flaw. And, if the chemistry comes back and it's not looking perfect, that's okay. That's just what's going to happen. And we hope we get through without like VA shooting through the roof or anything else. And right now, with the TA that high, it's still not volatile, and it's just crispy. So, that's coming up in the pipeline.
Chillable red.
Chillable. That's the goal anyway. I'm like, all my wines are pretty bright and juicy, and I would have wanted it to be chillable anyway. So, this is just forcing me into that category.
Yeah, it knew what you wanted.
Exactly. We do let the grapes kind of dictate what's going to happen anyway. So
listen to Mother Nature.
Exactly. Yeah, I would love to work with Yarrow again. I really ultimately would love to work with Carignan, but Carignan has been the biggest struggle for me in terms of being ghosted by vineyards.
Okay.
So we're going to try again, but time will tell if I can find a Carignan source. There's so many incredible like old vine, organically farmed Carignan vineyards. So we're going to see if one clicks in the future.
Yeah. You have your eyes set on a certain region. Like, I feel like Mendocino. And Contra Costa are like two big ones. But
I always lean Mendocino just because it is so much closer. I live up in Healdsburg, and it's like there's so many great vineyard sources for that within 1 hour.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm sourcing a lot of fruit from Herringer out in Clarksburg, and Contra Costa's on the way. So I'm open to both.
Yeah.
But whoever's not going to ghost me.
Carignan's another one. That's I love good Carignan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not something that people are planting too much more of. Though.
No.
I feel like it's all
vine.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't heard of anyone putting Carignan in the ground.
Like the last Carignan vine went in.
40 years ago.
It's been a long time. I wonder why that is. Maybe someone should do it, just like someone should ferment Chenin and Riesling on skins. Turns out it works quite well.
Why not?
Why not?
Sounds like there's demand for a Carignan. So
for me.
Yeah. Grenache is really nice, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is tasting great.
Yeah, I can't say I did too much to this Grenache. I have found that red wine is a little bit easier than white wine to make.
Yeah.
Just kind of got to let it do its thing. Let it age. So in 24, when I picked this, I had also picked the Mourvèdre, and in January of the following year, I was trying to figure out kind of the plan for bottling and taste through things and see if I wanted to blend some things for the I'm Mixed label. And initially, all the Mourvèdre was going to be blended with Chenin. I thought it tasted great together, kind of set my mind on that. And then a couple months before bottling, my friend Jackson came by, and he's like, "Oh, I want to taste like all your wines that are like ready now that they're kind of just slowly aging." Poured the Mourvèdre for him, and he's like, "You can't blend this. This is so good. You can't just blend this." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And kind of Jackson's always like a big supporter, so I'm like, "Okay, I take it with a little bit of a grain of salt just because he's so nice." And then we had some club members that came and tasted the following week, and I was like, "Oh, I have some time to go pour some like barrel samples for them," and they were like yelling at me, like screaming, "You cannot bottle this blended. You have to bottle it on its own." And so I saved a barrel of the Mourvèdre to bottle on its own. Okay. Which is still in barrel now. Okay. But yeah, one of the barrels did go to a blend. But you got to listen to the customer.
Sometimes it's easier when people are making the decisions for you. I think one of the hardest things in all of this is the decision fatigue that can happen from the very beginning of like, what are you going to do with these grapes when they come in? You have boundless options of things that you can do. Fermentation vessels. Do you want to destem it? Do you not? Do you want to leave it on skins? It's like you get so overwhelmed with decision making, and then it only continues. So like when you have people come in that are telling you and they're outside of your brain, it really can be helpful when you have those really firm opinions coming at you. Yeah.
Yeah, just those thousands of like minute and not minute, I guess, decisions adding up for you.
Especially during harvest when it's like these minute decisions that are going to add up to massive changes in the final product. You're making them in split-second decisions.
Yeah,
and
you
it's,
only have so much time to make those decisions.
And with us, it's a lot of times it's logistics related. Like, what are you going to press on top of? You're pressing on top of Fiano, or you're pressing in this tiny half-ton basket press, and it's going to take you 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours after work.
After work, we're starting at 10.
Yeah. There's been plenty of nights of pressing with Amanda late, pressing my Shannon or Cortese. One year we didn't have the little basket press yet.
Okay.
And so I drained all the juice from my Chenin Blanc ferment and then shoveled the must onto a screen and sump that usually goes under our press and foot stomped it to get as much juice out of it as I could. And that took like 4 hours.
And it took until we gave up.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm not going to get anything more out of this.
Yeah.
I think that was a 22 Chenin, which sold pretty fast.
That was good
I
stuff.
didn't tell people about how I made it. The dirty details.
Yeah.
Don't need to know everything.
Yeah. That's
Keep some
the
secrets.
reality of small production.
Yeah, we would like to say that we have endless options to do exactly what we want, but it's a lot of constraints that you're making the wine within before you even get the wine.
Yeah.
And it's not even just like financial, just time and space and availability, I think.
You do what you can with what you have at your disposal and try and make something delicious at the end. That's the hope.
Matt, I wanted to ask you, you have like the I'm mixed wine also. And because, Coral and I, we've been working on this Chinese kind of, laborer in early California episode. And she's talked a lot about like representation and, like when she goes to an event and maybe like a younger Chinese wine drinker sees her, behind the bar pouring wines and like their eyes kind of light up like, oh, like she's doing it. Like, because it's maybe not the normal person in the wine industry. And I want to just kind of, I guess, get your thoughts on that. If it's something you've kind of encountered and just your take, if you have anything to say about it.
I think, so I haven't had any experiences quite as strong as that. Like there's been people who have bought the wine and just generally been excited that they're like, oh, you're the actual winemaker. And it's not meant to offend, but it's meant to be like, oh, I'm so stoked for you. Like, I'm so excited to see someone who like looks more like me than who you typically see as the winemaker or the face of a winery. And that does give me a lot of like joy and passion and being in spaces where I can see people who look like my family, like drinking wine and celebrating. One of the first events the first event I ever did was at Kinfolk's in Oakland. And it was all women and people of color, winemakers. And that was, phenomenal event. And so nice to see, quote unquote, not typical wine drinker there just having fun and not being serious. And like the vibe is so much higher and everyone's having a good time. And it's not so much like, let's take notes and be diligent and talk about what wine clubs we're in and how much we paid for our Opus One allocation. the same thing goes for like Big West Wine Fest, which is like my favorite wine event to do every year. It's very LGBTQ friendly, very friendly to everybody. And it's the same thing. Like people are dressing up, people are being themselves and being open and celebrating good wine, celebrating wine being made by people who are, not pretentious, not so pretentious. There's still some pretentious people. It's the best wine fair, and the people who run it are great. And that kind of environment always makes me feel like I'm doing what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it feels good to be in a situation where you feel like you should be doing that. And
yeah, it's a space where I feel like I belong, like the Ken Folks event or Big West. I used to work at a winery in Sebastopol called Mary Edwards, and I only went to a couple events with them. But yeah, I would look around the room and I'm like, nobody in this room, one, looks like me, two, even wants to talk to me, honestly. And it's just not where I want to be. And it's so nice that I'm in the industry at a time where there are spaces like that. If I was in the industry 30, 40 years ago, I don't think I would be given the same opportunities I've been given. And I don't think I would be as comfortable in some of the spaces that I am now, which is really important. And yeah, I'm grateful for that. And also trying to help push that a little bit and open up those spaces as well.
yeah, be able to give people like a helping hand kind of if
Yeah,
needed,
absolutely. Yeah, it's really great to see other people of color, succeed. And there's a lot of people in the industry who I would say are doing a lot more than me. Specifically in Napa, I see it a lot. As far as like doing more than me, as far as opening up those spaces.
Okay.
Where I see friends who are going from working in wine bar like Ordinaire or Punch Down or something to like, I'm gonna work at Continuum or like Ovid or some high end place where like you don't see people of color, you don't see queer people, and they're going to make that space their own, and it's really amazing to see. And you see that a lot more, I think, in Napa, just because there's such a juxtaposition where Sonoma seems to be a little more open, and there are those spaces kind of naturally to an extent. And Napa has always been very closed off and uptight, kind of, at least to me. And yeah, it's really cool. They're making room for themselves in those spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad more spaces like that can open up
Yeah.
in that way. And it's awesome that they're able to kind of get in there and open up for themselves and others.
Yeah.
Is there anything we've kind of missed or that glanced over or anything that either of you would like to?
I think so.
I feel like we covered it all.
You want to tell people where to get your wines, maybe?
Oh yeah, we could do that.
We should do
Yeah,
that.
we should probably tell people where to buy our wines. You can find my wines at mattcrutchfieldwines.com. I'm now distributed by Roni Selects in California, which has been very helpful. That team has been selling my wine like crazy, so it's very nice to not be peddling my wine by hand on my weekends.
Yes.
I'm sure you have a lot of small winemakers come on the show. I'm sure they've talked about it, but every week pouring my wines for 2 to 3 restaurants, sometimes one. You have to open up all the wines for one place, and then you have to go deliver the following week, or you can ship it, and then you have the cost of shipping. And so that is like every weekend from February to August of the last few years is pretty much filled with delivery or tastings. So now, having Roni has been wonderful, and open to more distribution in other states.
Yeah. Plug City. It is hard juggling that full-time job and the side projects is not easy. My wine is available at yarrowwineco.com. There are 2 W's in there. And I am fully self-distributed, so yes, I will be hitting the pavement and have been. But it's fun. We love it.
Yeah, it is fun. That's another aspect of it that, when Amanda's just starting to sell her wine, but when you taste with people who don't know you and you've cold emailed and they, not give you the cold shoulder, but they just kind of taste the wines and go, okay, thank you for pouring the wines. And you leave and you're like, oh my God, they hated everything. They hated everything. And then they email you the next day and they go, oh, I'll take 3 cases of this and 4 cases of that for BTG. And you're like, okay, you're just playing your part, I guess.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was on the buying side for so many years in restaurants, and I was always trained to be like stone cold, don't show emotion, just taste the wine, take your notes, and like basically have a poker face. And as I got older and I was running wine programs of my own, I was like, no, I want to tell people if I love the wines, and if I don't like them, I'll tell them why. And that way, that's how you grow. So yeah, it's nice when the buyers show you emotion.
Yeah. Poker face.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me over and
Yeah, of course.
tasting the wines and having some patience. I know we've been talking about doing it for a couple months.
It's all good. Yeah, it's hard to schedule anything these days, I feel like.
Thanks for listening today. Both Amanda and Matt are making these unique wines and the styles that they enjoy. It really is worth it if you're able to support smaller producers like them and their colleagues. There truly is an amazing wine culture of younger and smaller producers in California. You can find Amanda's wines at yarrowwineco.com or Yarrow Wineco on Instagram, and Matt's wines at mattcrutchfieldwines.com or Matt Crutchfield Wines on Instagram. I hope you try both producers' wines. Please follow the podcast on wherever you're listening and the Instagram at Indie Wine Podcast. You can email indiewinepodcast@gmail.com or Instagram with comments, questions, or feedback. If you're enjoying the podcast, I'd love it if you told a friend or wine lover about it. It helps spread the word. Rating, reviewing, or donating at patreon.com/indiewinepodcast helps a lot too. It all goes to offsetting podcast expenses, keeps it ad-free, available for everyone, allows for more episodes, and helps support independent folks. We'll be back soon with another episode. Have a good one.